So with a lack of technology, I'm going to duct tape and baling wire this thing together. On today's Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. Screw it. I don't need no technology. Hi there. My name is Charles Ray Dawson. I am the Associate Broker Residential Sales Manager of ProStar Realty. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 219. And at this point, you think it would be 1313 with those much weird stuff is going on right now. So, started with getting out of the house late. Started with forgetting my mouse. So I had to go to my old analog backup here. Not quite mouse with balls, but about that old. Logitech could build a frickin' mouse that will outlast us all. All right. But it doesn't read my pad very well, so it really doesn't do what I need it to do. And since my laptop that I use only has one USB port because it's a Surface, I need that for my microphone. Right now, I'm not sure whether or not this is recording over my microphone or the microphone's on the Surface itself. So with this, all right, but we can fix this. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. Then I went to do the normal recording using the ScreenPal program that I use. It used to be called Screencast-O-Matic, but they decided, branding reasons, to change the name. And then I came up to the other problem is, for some reason, it's acting up again too. So, using the camera app on the Surface itself, using my finger to touch the screens, and occasionally using this pen, let's have a recording. Now, unfortunately, this means those cool little graphics I like to throw up every once in a while are not going to be there in the recording, so you're not going to see my face suddenly shrink down and move to the side where we could go over the numbers and everything. I had to hand print those out. I could just put them there and you could read them, or I could read them off to you. But let's do what we can do from here. How you guys all doing? So, it is Thursday, April the 17th. All right, hope you guys all got your taxes filed. And let's move on with life, real estate. All right. National news. DOJ is still playing around with NAR and everything like that. So, we're still arguing about that whole clear cooperation thing. And things escalated when certain brokerages who want to keep their listings all to themselves and is convinced that their clientele, you don't need to deal with any of those other nasty real estate agencies out there. And you sure don't want any of their buyers. Their buyers are scuzzy. Their buyers are so low rent. They're not sophisticated and really trying not to go into the regular rants on this thing. But, we can sell your house to our buyers. You don't have to use other people's buyers. And some sellers are really on board with that. Almost looking into a fair housing violation at this point. Just saying. So, but they want the option to put it on the MLS afterwards. All right. They want to try to sell it in-house, double in the deal, dual agency, more money for the broker. All right. And if they can do that, well, great. But they want the option to put it out and give it to the rest of the riffraff and get them to a shot if they can't sell it in-house after a certain amount of time. So they want to be able to put it on the MLS eventually. And that's always been the issue with clear cooperation is no, you need to put it on now. All right? Regulation says within 48 hours or 24 hours of marketing, right? Which can technically be read as talking to anybody about it who may be a potential buyer. I'm eating chocolate because it's after 5 o'clock today and my blood sugar level's crashing. So how do they get around that? No, we just won't put it on the market. And a couple MLSs came up with a fancy way of, we want to put it on the market, but not as a coming soon. Because if we put it on coming soon, then Zillow and Redfin pull that off of the site, and then they start advertising it as coming soon, and that defeats their purpose of keeping it to themselves. Now remember, the brokerages that we're talking about created the coming soon so they could still market internally and still show it to their own clients without showing it to anybody else's clients. All right. But to get around that, you have 24 hours after marketing it to put it on MLS so everybody can see it. So that wasn't working for them. So now they came up with this other thing, and it's couched in the way that the seller doesn't want to be bothered. Right? They still want interest, but they can't be bothered. They're still packing that. The flip isn't done yet. We haven't finished, painting or anything like that. So they came up with this third way, and I can't remember what weird word that they used to call it. But ultimately it was, we're going to put it, but it's going to be on the MLS. It's going to be in the special category. And once it's in the special category, it can't be shown on Zillow or through the IDX feed by any other brokerages, just us. And then last week, Zillow came out and said, where's Zillow? We're the 800-pound gorilla in the room. We're feeling pretty froggy. So if you take a listing and you decide you're going to do it that way and you're going to put it on your MLS in that special category, that means you don't want other people to look at it, but you have to put it on there because otherwise the MLS will kick you off. You're never going to be on Zillow. We're just straight up, as long as that property exists under your brokerage for sale, you will never see Zillow. And that's quite a threat. All my agents are gone, so I can tell you this. Most agents don't find the house that you're going to buy. Most agents are waiting for you to come to them with the things that you found on Zillow that you want to see, and then they'll go and lock doors for you. Don't tell anybody I said that. All right. Now, I've tried a million times to get my clients to look at the stuff that I am sending them, but Zillow has a really cool interface, and people always want to go play with the new cool interface, and they can look at it on their phones. All right. So I usually, when I don't even bother anymore. When I send out my list, I go, hey, here's a couple houses that I personally found that I think you might be interested in, and they'll add it into whatever list that they send me. Okay, and sure enough, if they're not on something that I've already sent you, it's because you changed your search criteria on Zillow, and you didn't change it with me. And all of a sudden, I don't want a house, above 450, and then you're sending me houses at 5. I know there's been a change of mind on your part. So Zillow has that ability to turn you off and to make it so your average buyer who's out there looking at Zillow for the house to tell what houses to their agents they want to see, all of a sudden nobody's ever going to see your house except for your own brokerage agents. And isn't that what you wanted the whole time? That's what you wanted the whole time, but you wanted the option. You wanted the option to put it on MLS in case your own brokerage couldn't get the deal done. And that's what Zillow and Redfin are upset about. And I really hate to be in a position where I'm actually cheering for Zillow, but it's almost like one of those movies where, the good guy and the bad guy have to join forces to defeat Satan. All right. Because these bigger brokerages, and they are the brokerages that are behind this whole car lot theory of real estate they've been trying to push the market into. Some people say they were actually behind the lawsuits in Missouri. And I've heard some pretty compelling arguments that they were behind the attorneys out of Florida that cherry-picked into Missouri to find that particular lawsuit. All right, just hearing. All right, this is not confirmed. Okay, don't listen to anything that you ever hear on the internet. All right, but if 3 or 4 major national brokerages could take over the entire real estate agents brokerage, they could be the car lot model. You come onto their lot and they show you and sell you one of their houses. Even though there's a house that's perfect for you 3 doors down, you will never know it exists because it's not on their lot. It's not on their MLS. So what's the big long-term impact of this? Don't know. All right. Is there anything that Ray can do about this right now? Nope. So I'm going to focus on what I can, interact with, right? It's me, my outlook, my agents, working my circles. So, and that means we have to improvise, adapt, and overcome on stuff like my normal recording stack doesn't want to record, all right? My stack tipped over. So let's talk about the numbers real quick. These are the numbers for April 17th, 2025. Actives this week are 25,866, up 536 from the week before. New listings were 2,722, down 165, suggesting maybe everybody who wants to sell has gotten their house on the market this spring. Contracts are 2,530, down 131, meaning the people who wanted to buy are starting to be done. All right. And the closings last week were 1,572. Coming soon to an MLS near you is 782 new listings. Our Cromford Report numbers for supply is at 103.8. Our demand is at 81.7, giving us a Cromford score of 78.7 with buyer's market. Now, I just printed that off since I realized I wasn't going to be able to do the screencast stuff. From the top on the regional stuff, the one thing I really wanted to call out that was interesting is that Buckeye. Remember last week's question, is Maricopa going to beat out Buckeye? Is Buckeye going to fall to last place? Because Buckeye had dropped like 8% month over month, and Maricopa was growing 1% month over month. And if both of those had continued, this was going to be the week Maricopa came out of last place and overtook Buckeye. Buckeye rallied by 6%. All right. Still buyer's market all day long. But, something about last month, people listening to my podcast suddenly went, holy crap, we got to get the Buckeye. All right. And drove out there and bought themselves houses. And that changed it just statistically enough to where Buckeye is still in second place. Maricopa is still in back place, in the behind. Even though both of them are growing and getting better, they're still at a 2-to-1 ratios of houses per buyers. So, what does this mean to you? Same thing as always. It's good time to be a buyer. Now, interest rates did do that thing from last week we were talking about with the 10-year Treasury and everything else. We still are about, the number I saw today was like 6.83, 86 or something like that. So not great. We did not get the drop that we were hoping for this spring. My lenders are going insane right now. My lenders are just absolutely going insane. I don't know if they racked up the credit cards or something. I don't know if they told their girlfriend they were going on a cruise this spring after the season or what, but they are all scrambling out there big time trying to find somebody for them to give money to. Did get interesting article from the Boss Man, if I can figure out where the hell I put it. It was something I didn't want to. He said, you should share this with our agents. And I'm like, I'm not sure I want them reading this survey. 81% of potential sellers think they will get their asking price or more this year. All right. This one actually came in from Realtor.com, and it was printed on April 14th. Person's name is Hannah Jones, all right? And it's just, they did a survey and said 81% of sellers think they're going to get their sales price or more this year. Didn't say anything in there about paying for commissions or whatnot, but I could see in certain markets why sellers would be particularly, optimistic about what's going on. And I agree with that in certain markets. If you're out there in Chandler, yeah, you're looking pretty good, all right? Maricopa, definitely not. So remember, anytime you read a national news source, they are talking about the national level, all right? Real estate, location, all right? Regional, sometimes down to zip codes, sometimes down to neighborhoods. Your mileage not only may vary, will vary, all right? So once again, the importance of having an agent that's working in that particular area, who knows that area, all right? And just comes across, we'll be able to guide you a lot better than just some rando you got off of the internet, whatnot. And this is why we develop relationships with you and why you should know people. And you should work with an agent that a friend of you refers to, all right? They've at least passed the sniff test, that that they've done at least one transaction. All right. And of course, if you still like the guy that you closed with last time, I'm still here. I think I've closed with pretty much everybody who watches this show now, except for a couple of my agents. And yeah, I just found out that my agents are watching this thing. So yeah, I don't take anything back I said about them last episode. And I really don't. All right. This is my time. This is my therapy time. I don't have to be nice to you guys. So, but we are definitely looking at getting in front of buyers. If you're a real estate agent watching this, you need to be talking to buyers right now. Buyers are worth their weight in gold. All right. I got 3 different programs. All right. 3 different lenders to turn you on to with 3 different programs of get you the money. If you don't think you have the down payment, call me. All right. If you think you have the down payment, but you have really shitty credit, call me. All right. If you're a veteran, sure as hell, call me. I mean, veterans are walking around out there right now with big VA loan energy right now. And now is a really good time, good time for you guys to cash in that VA benefit that you have, that you earned, all right, by raising your hand, swearing an oath to the Constitution, and going off to a foreign land, even if you're deployed here in the States, even if you never saw the outside of Kansas for your entire tour. As long as you're honorably discharged, we got a VA loan for you. So, now, that being said, I seriously think right now, people in Maricopa and Buckeye probably, who bought last year on a low money, no money down loan, could be upside down. If they had to sell today, they would lose money at the end of the day. Right? That's something else you want to look at, very specific when you look at buying houses. Do I think we're going to have houses go lower across the board? Definitely not in Chandler. All right, Phoenix is still a buyer's market. Glendale's a buyer's market, barely. Okay, we don't actually have serious price crashes and price cuts until there's panic in the streets, and nobody's panicking right now. We still have sellers who are coming in over reason, okay, and then slowly having to back off of that price point. All right, my listing is going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to be actually a little bit under what my comps could argue for. All right, but I'm making up for that in condition. I don't like the condition. It's not that perfect, ready to go at those 3 higher comp prices. So we're coming in low. We're not going to be ridiculous, and we're going to be the only one in that price point. All right, these are all strong things to do. Hopefully none of my competition who's working in that neighborhood is watching this, because, yeah, guys, winter is coming. I'm coming for you. So when you're deciding to make one of these big decisions, like buying a house, all right, you want to have big, long conversations with your lender, with your real estate agent. I've always said that. Okay, this is not something you do online. Buying a house is not like going on Amazon. And when you buy a house, you can't just say, no, I don't want it, and take it down to Whole Foods and they'll ship it up and return it for you. It's not how housing and stuff works. Right? But there's not a lot of reasons to be scared in this current market on the buyer side, except for that interest rate. And your lender's going to pre-qual that out on you. I mean, if you can't make those payments, your lender's going to tell you, nah, dog, you can't make those payments. You might not want to make those payments. All right. I'm not going to sit there and say that ownership right now is cheaper than renting. All right. And you're going to pay a premium to purchase right now as long as these interest rates are going. But I tell you what, when those interest rates do eventually come down, and they will come down, all right, you're going to be in a much better position than everybody who waited for those interest rates to get to a number they were happy with, because they're not going to be the only person who's happy with that. It's going to be a lot of people are going to be happy with that, and you are all going to be standing in line trying to get in front of that house. All right. So I had things I wanted to talk about today, but between the tech issue and everything else, I've basically just been freestyling it for you guys. So because that's what I do. I open mouth and express words. There was something else I wanted to bring up that I kept thinking was, this would be a really great topic to discuss. Oh, this is a really great topic to discuss. Which is sort of kind of, but not really real estate related. Okay, well, let's talk about your estate planning. All right, let's talk about thou art mortal. All right, and what's going to happen with your house. Right? We were discussing marketing to landlords who have just gone through the traumatic experience of having to evict a seller or evict a renter, and how to get in front of those people when they might decide they don't want to be a landlord anymore. Yeah, we're going after listings when we should be going after buyers, but it's still a source of revenue and income. And I would strongly suggest, if you are a mixed family, and not the mix that you just thought, or a blended family, or whatever you call it, all right? If you have a husband and wife with kids from the previous marriage, all right? That's what I mean by this. You really need to have it locked down who gets what out of the house if one person or the other one dies. This is a really, really important thing, okay? Because this is what we see in Sun City all the time, is you will have a couple, husband and wife, one of the spouses bought in Sun City, they meet somebody, silver marriage, it's great and it's wonderful, they're going to end out the rest of the years, and then somebody passes on. If it's the homeowner, and they kept it in their name because they wanted to leave it to their kids, they considered that part of their inheritance, and they never thought the kids would be so mean as to kick their wife or husband out after they died. That, I'm sorry. Sun City, Grant, Sun City West are filled with this story of these horrible little kids, these heirs who just suddenly pop up out of the woodwork. Didn't see him at Christmas for 7 years. Don't even get a phone call on the birthday, but wow, dad kicked off, and next thing you know, his daughters are right there banging down the front door, right? And wanting, the wife the hell out of there. So you need to talk to an estate planner. You need to discuss these things with the attorney that's going to be dealing with your life trust. You need to get this stuff planned. It's an uncomfortable conversation, but you really should have it. All right? If nothing else, it makes life so much easier for those around you. So I say that to say this. All right? Work your circles. That's definitely a level 3 circle right there, okay? Watch your children and pets around water. It is warming up quite nicely. Memorial Day weekend is about around the corner, and that means pool parties and everything like that. I don't think we have to worry about driving anything flooded because I think we're done with the monsoons, okay? Working our circles, having a great weekend. You guys be awesome, and I'm going to see if this thing actually recorded properly.